So in this video, we're going to talk about functions. What's a function? Well, we know it's a name block of reusable code that performs a specific task or a set of tasks, right? Functions are a fundamental concept in most programming languages, and they play a crucial role in our organizing of our code and structuring our code. So let's get into this. Let's come up with an example where it highlights what a problem that we could have. So let's say we have a print statement that says, hello, Ed, and let's say we're not only saying hello to Ed, but we're saying hello to all my team members in my basketball team. So we'll say hello Jordan, hello Iverson, hello Kobe, hello LeBron. So we're going to save it and we're going to run this. We're developers, so we should always be doing a little bit of code, saving it and run it so that we know that if we mess up, or we mess something up, we blew something up, we know exactly what line that we introduced recently was the culprit. So in this case, we see that everything's working, and we're just highlighting that, sure, we can do this, but what is the problem here? Well, the problem is that if we wanted to change from hello Ed, hello Jordan, hello Iverson, and so on to goodbye Ed, goodbye Jordan, goodbye Iverson, we'll have to copy and paste this multiple times, and we'll have to tweak it and copy and paste multiple times. We save it and run it, and we know that works. But we're software developers. We know we can do better than this, because the issue is that if we just miss one sprinkled within our code, we miss one from goodbye to hello, that will introduce a bug, right? And we don't want that. We want to minimize those cases where we can have a bug in our code. This is when bugs happen. So the best practice is to always minimize the things that we manage, right? So the more things we have to manage, the worse off we'll be. The other way around is the more things we have to manage, the worse off we'll be, or the less things we manage, the better off we'll be. So why don't we do a function to introduce what the solution to this would be. A function here would be starting with the def keyword. We're going to say hello is the name. It should be snake case, not camel case. And we're going to print hello Ed. But we're not going to do that so much just yet. It's not going to be so useful, but we'll see what's happening. We'll call say hello. If we print this, we're going to say that it says hello Ed. That is nice, but this is not too nice, because if we do this 4 more times, we're going to say the same thing, and that's not so useful. So what do we want to do? We want to make the name interchangeable. So we want to pass the name here as Ed, as Jordan, as Kobe, as Iverson, and as LeBron. So here, if we run this, it's not going to be any good yet, but at least we'll see what's happening. What's the problem here? And this is good that we see issues so that we can fix them together and you can learn from them as well. So def say hello, print hello Ed. Here it says hello takes 0 positional arguments, but 1 was given. Oh, so this is a problem. Why? Because we have to give it a name. And if we just say name here, we're not using name yet, but I'll show you. We're still going to say hello Ed 5 different times, but now what we want to do is we want to take this away and say, okay, let's add name to this. And this will give us what we want. And this will get the different names that we're invoking here in the argument. These are arguments, by the way. These are arguments here when you're invoking the function. These are parameters when you're defining the function. Parameters. So just FYI, don't get fooled. We know what's happening here. We know the difference technically. So that's one way to do it. And now you could say, well, that's fine, but you're still doing these things multiple times, Ed. So what's the big deal? What's the big difference? Well, the difference is that if you had to say goodbye now instead of hello, instead of switching it in 5 different places, you change it in one place. right? So here, we just say goodbye, and we're done, right? Instead of doing it in 5 different places, again, the more things we have to manage, the worse off we'll be. That's not good for us. We can do better than that. We don't want to be in that business of tweaking so many things or managing all these different things that could go wrong. Technically, they could work, but they're just opening us up to more bugs and possibilities of introducing bugs. So we know we'll do that. So the other thing that you got to watch out for is when you invoke a function like this without a name, this would blow up as well, right? Because now it'll say, hey, look, you are missing an argument. So one way to tackle this is give a default. Why don't we say, hey, if you invoke this function and you don't have an argument, use add as the default. And this is what would happen. And just to prove that that is what would happen, just pass in Jordan here, and you'll see that we'll get an add and a Jordan now. And you get both like this. So that's the beauty of passing defaults, or having defaults here at the function definition. So another thing I'll mention too is that every function should have a doc block. What's a doc block? Or a doc string, rather. Wrong language. That's in Java. In Python, it's called a doc string. And you can say this function greets a person. Something like that. It gives a little bit, a little insight to other developers that may run against this function, and they'll see what this function was intended to do. And so that's beautiful. That's just a comment. It's just a doc string, but it tells you a little bit more about what this function is going to do. By the way, a function should take always an input and an output. In this case, we're taking in an input. We're not returning anything. This is just for information purposes and for demo purposes. So just FYI, every function should have an input and an output, right? And the function does some computation. And in this case, we're just printing something, which is not the best thing to do. Might as well cover this. Why is that a bad idea? Well, this is a bad idea because if we wanted to call this function, it's always going to print. But what about if we wanted to just return the string and not print it? Well, this is not going to give it to us. Why? Because we're always going to print it. So it's more flexible, in other words, just to return this string. And here you can say, I don't know, result equals, say hello. This won't print anything, which is nice. But if we want it to print it, go ahead and print the result, right? This is more flexible. You may not have, you may not have a need to print it right away, so why not just return something? And this is what a function should do. It should always return something. And anyway, I fixed it there. The other thing that you'll notice too is that if you know me, I've possibly mentioned many times before that I'm a big fan of function f strings, right? So instead of this, I would do an f string, and just for kicks, I'll just give you what that is. You can watch my other video about that, but an f string is something like this, where you get rid of the quotes and the pluses, and you, anytime that you see a variable that should be replaced with some value, you make it a curly brace. And so here, you'll get the same thing, because if you don't do this, by the way, you'll get the name literal. That string will be just name, right? Just to show you. So we know that's not what we want. We want something like this, and we get it without a problem. Bingo. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed it.